So we reach a point where we break through all kinds of beliefs and experiences, only to be exposed from there that we've only scratched the surface. So we're dealing with these changes, coming to grips with the idea that more changes are coming. And it's the dead of winter. The reason your survivalists carry matches instead of lighters is because when it gets cold enough, a lighter's not going to work. And it's similar with a propane furnace and a camper. So we've gone into sub-zero weather, which the furnace cannot keep up with. So at night, I'm transplanted into another structure, another environment, where I have to navigate things differently and coordinate things differently. So I'm undergoing exposure to more with the upheaval it causes inside, and I don't have the consistent outer environment in which to do it. So it's very challenging. But time is running out. And it's hard to imagine that. Not enough time is there. So time is flexible. We have to remember that. So what I'm talking about, when I went through cold recovery, I say I went through it, I read books on it, and it's explained to us, and you can see it in people, that some people cannot survive a change in their belief system, especially they call them cults, like the Jehovah's Witnesses. There are people who are raised in it or who come to it early in their life, and to suddenly introduce a complete different belief pattern, that everything that they believed, that based their every choice in their life, was wrong, it will drive them crazy. They will retreat to it, even knowing that it's not true, and they will just suffer the rest of their days because they've been exposed to the idea that they're perpetuating a lie, they're living a lie. They are, in essence, a lie from their perception. And so they detest themselves while going out and proclaiming love door to door. So it's the same thing. You're exposed to new age information, and that broadens the perspective and the potentials, and then you learn that that is all a lie. There is no higher self. There's no other form of us up there completely consciously different from us and directing us like, oh, you know, you cute little thing, here you go, oh, you're silly. No, that's the entities controlling that part of us, which is supposed to be controlling our physical experience. So when a blind person has their sight restored, we don't say to that blind person, or who was once blind, well, that's because you were stupid then. your blindness is equivalent to stupidity. It's not. It's an interruption with physical mechanisms. And so, genetically, at our inception, our interruption with our physical mechanism, our ability to use our physical mechanism, was programmed into us. Now, because our DNA came from that which does not have an interruption between mechanisms, we can restore in our body by our vibration our ability to use that other part of our mechanism. It's just profound. It's not even profound. It's not. It's all mechanics. It's all mechanics. Everything we see as spiritual is mechanical. It's just a science that we express emotionally because our emotions govern so much of our energy. And so we have an emotional attachment to each stage of what we call enlightenment. So we're proud of ourselves. Like, whoa, I broke out of that Christian paradigm. Or, I'm talking to Westerners, most likely, people familiar with Christianity who would have had that as a background. So I'll just stick with that. So we're just so proud of ourselves because we figured that out. And somebody's playing with my propane tanks. So we figure stuff out and we're really proud of ourselves. And then we face the idea that this is not all there is. So emotionally, we have to let go of attachment of that, but not the pride. We don't have to stop being proud of ourselves for arriving at that. It's a step. We don't sit there to a teenage child and say, you were stupid, you walked, like a klutz when you took your first steps. No, we were proud of them then, and we don't rob them of that pride. We don't say, okay, now we can tell you we're not proud of you for doing that. Well, of course we're still proud of them for doing that, because that's what got them into, being able to run and ride skateboards and bikes and horses and, run track and play football, whatever. So the biggest component in all of this is our emotional flexibility, that emotional intelligence, so that we can access the mechanics and have more power control of our experience. And again, just that we're dealing with races that view us as ants. They don't care if we live or die. What do we do to an anthill? We destroy it if it makes us uncomfortable. They're here for our oxygen. They're here for the hydrogen out of our water. They're here for the copper. They're here for the gold. We're anthills, man. They really... No. They don't care about us. Now, there are those of us who do care about anthills, because frankly, ants have more value to the earth than the majority of human beings. So we can only hope that those of us who are not a majority, and I know it doesn't sound like elitism or Like, I'm sorry, I have to separate myself from other people, especially the people in government who are buying into the lie. Oh, yeah, we're giving you technology. That's so that they can use them. Oh, thank you for the parts. Oh, yeah, that's technology you can use. Yep. And then it kills a whole bunch of scientists. They left out a few details. But the government is protecting bases, landing platforms where they can come on a break during their interstellar travels, like a rest area along the highway that we would use. They have their rest areas on Earth that are protected by our government, and they don't care about us. They just like having a nice, clean, exclusive rest area. And they just give them little tidbits of technology. Oh, look, you can do this. It's like giving a kid a pinwheel. Ooh. And then they go and cut themselves on it. Oh, well, here, maybe you could just round and soften these edges on it. There you go. I mean, but we're so far into it. And all the UAPs and the UFO sightings, they're mostly government. They got this technology. They can't duplicate it exactly, but it's enough to make the average people go, oh. They don't even know all these plasma things showing up. There's side effects to this technology not being appropriately used. And they don't care whether we destroy ourselves. They just limit, how much of the water and copper and gold and oxygen we destroy. And if we destroy it, they'll go, oh, okay, let's go on to the next one. We need to value ourselves a whole lot more than we do, because we are so undervalued in the cosmic reality. And probably justly so, if you look at it from their perspective. And here, we revere certain people. I mean, I'm glad I'm the type of person who I never even, followed a band or a singer or any particular artist. I'd enjoy a song, and I wouldn't even ask who wrote it, because they were just other human beings. And somehow I knew that they were not better than me. And these other entities, these angels and gods, they're no better than us psychologically, emotionally. They are not evolved. They just have access to more mechanical aspects of their being, as if they have more fingers, more toes, they can manipulate, each hair on their head is just another digit that they can, as if that, not saying that that's gonna happen to us. Could you imagine? That would be funny. But yeah, that's what's going on now. Just when you get a modicum of, woo, free, I'm elevated, you run into, there's a lot more to it than what we thought there would be. So if I'm melancholy, it's because shifting, changing, and changing up the neural pathways in my brain. I get headaches. I've never gotten so many headaches in my life. I never even knew headaches. Now it's like a daily occurrence. And I used to think it was hydration, because that's when I started getting headaches, was out in the desert. And so I thought it was purely hydration. It's like, nope. I was evolving my psychological and emotional being. And so that changes the neural pathways in the brain. And the brain is physical flesh. So it's uncomfortable. It's growing pains. Hopefully, somebody out there is able to follow this. So you have support. At least know you're not alone in all of this. And maybe even have had some questions answered. I'll answer any more if I can, if anybody has any questions. But if you've reached the point where you can understand what I'm saying, you can probably get the answers yourself. But if you want somebody else to say, did you come with, did it look like a whole bunch of sheets and human images in them and everybody's just like, yeah, I get it. It's like, how do you explain that it's not as solid as, like, so like the carbon chamber that Han Solo was put in Frozen, like imagine that mostly clear. There are color reflections throughout it, but it's just like a sheet like that we're in, and we're moving around, and our sheets are blending into, passing through one another, and we're passing through other sheets. It's just, to be able to grasp that. Mind is still working on the neural pathways, trying to connect myself and my ability to connect mechanically to the rest of me that I was cut off from because of genetic manipulation. So, other human beings, without fully realizing what they're doing to themselves when they do it to us, it's like a racehorse. When it gets injured, they'll burn the nerves so the horse no longer senses the injury, and then they resell it, and the horse runs until, of course, if you're running on an injury, it worsens the injury and it declines very rapidly. And so other human beings and species related to us will do that. They'll cripple us, and we quickly deteriorate from that. We just don't know that it's happening because we're taught to ignore and fear the rest of us. It's like a finger or toe. It's like, oh, I'm afraid of that, Or like a tail would probably be like a better illustration, because you see this thing coming out, you get excited, it gets out of control, and you wonder, what the hell is that? What's it like? Oh, let me take care of that, and they cut it off for you. Okay. Oh, good, it's gone. I was so worried about that thing that I couldn't control. No, you could control it. You just didn't know how you controlled it. And so that's what it is with the rest of our cells, with our other appendage that is the place that we work from, the appendage that we work from to control our physical reality and manipulate it without having to stop and pick things up with our fingers. And that's the best I can give for a description. I'm going to have to leave it at that, because otherwise I'll just sit here and appear to be zoning out, but I'm really just following the energy as it travels through my mind to pick up on different thought patterns and stuff like that. not everybody wants to sit and watch that. Peace out, man.